Hi, this is Dan Jurgens, and if you want to have a good time, keep listening to the Krypton Report.
It's a bird. It's a plane.
This is Jason J. Lewis, the voice of Superman on Justice League Action. This is Mark Wade, writer of Superman Birthright, and you're listening to The Krypton Report,
the All Things Kryptonian podcast, including Superman and Supergirl.
We discuss games, movies, cartoons, TV shows, and comics.
Find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. Welcome to the Krypton Report. In our effort to get ready Superman and Lois, we decided to take a look at what we've already given. Performance, Tyler. I'm going to try not to discuss. I'm Tyler.
Uchimama? Hoken? What you said?
That person is Bryan. Welcome back, Bryan.
Oh, hey guys. Good to be back. Good to be back to say an appropriate thing.
And have, as always, the pleasure.
Hey.
So we're digging into it.
What are you fun? You fun? You're like, hey.
Anyway, just like a recap, had either of you ever seen Tyler in anything else? Or sorry, Bryan.
Oh, with me? No, I haven't. I heard he was in Teen Wolf, which I have not seen. I think he did some work for Disney, like in some music stuff. But no, not really.
No, actually, my first introduction to Tyler was Superman.
I remember back when there was luck of who could that as his name. So when I saw that, my wife and I immediately watched Teen Wolf, and we got the time. We watched the series up like 4 or 5. I don't know. He left. I highly recommend you watch first. But I never saw him anything else. So later, when I saw him here,
Yes, he plays Joe Weider, the father of modern bodybuilding, and he did a fantastic job.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. And he just seems like from things like him, really cool, laid back. Definitely not the person that like said, "Hey, man," like when I this kind of like or I don't exactly part on. Then when you see him part like brings to life.
Definitely. Rewatching his first appearance, which we'll talk about, he's clean shaven. He looks pretty young, which is actually even something that Wynn says to him in the episode. And now in Superman and Lois, he's got the 5 o'clock shadow. He is a few years older now. And, he just, I think he's maturing personally and probably as an actor to fill the shoes better.
we're going to kind of go in and over his performances. He has a in Supergirl. Yep. Elseworlds crossover. Right. So let's go back time, fella. 20. Quick mention that when they first announced him, Superman, it was that first photo of him ex Melissa. Very much looks more like how he does. Like it really looks like he just showed up for a costume, like hey, look, because like got that, like that's his thing. That's just him. Like anything you see him in, not like that. And he's got a little bit of thicker looking eyebrows. But then when you see the set photos after filming, it looks different. Or any.
Yeah, he's got very dark hair, so when he doesn't shave, like it's visible.
So it just, I was hesitant because I'm not kind of then got that trailer, got amazing on the hall. I'll tell you that got that I mentioned you guys the other day, and Bryan, him and I got a little discussion. That may be the best shirt that's out there.
You know, I mean, if there's one image that sticks in your mind of Superman as a kid, it's when he ripped. I mean, like how many times as a kid you rip your shirt open, or or just run and rip your shirt open. Maybe you have this towel around your neck. This
Bryan.
Yeah.
Why did you say as a kid?
Well,
some of us still do. Right, guys?
That's right.
Sometimes I like people to think that I actually have some maturity in my life, but I mean I don't. But I like to try to sell that. So anyway, yesterday when I ripped my shirt off, thinking about Superman, I was thinking about this scene, and it's really it's a little bit more dramatic than usual. Like he runs in that alley, and he ripped that tie off. He's frozen on the ground and ripped it high. I think I actually saved that clip of it somewhere. But for our listeners, I just really watch that clip. But it is okay. I'm just gonna say it's probably the best damn.
I mean, let's just run through the Chris Reeve kind of like, and it's cool. It's not that, but you have the great shirt, but it's not in Superman. Where after I does that's really different kind of. I feel like the one in Superman Return goes running, sort of cut, kind of like it's like it's good, but just I don't have excitement. It's coming, and then you kind of get there on Smallville, but like Rip, it's great that it's Superman Returns that we didn't actually see the rest of it. And I will say, like, I know there's good shirts and probably there's multiple.
Yeah, the Smallville one is it looks so flat. The S shield. I don't think in my opinion, I don't think he had the suit on, and I'm pretty sure I heard that at some point. That's just a digital insert of the S underneath the shirt when he rips it open. And then Dean Cain, he's they had in Lois and Clark, they had the really iconic where like Dean Cain would like run up to the camera and rip open his shirt, so it was like directly he stopped in front of the camera. Unlike kind of like how they do Supergirl, they always focus in on the S shirt rip, and Supergirl, she does it as well. She rips open her shirt, but they've always got her on more like a direct line just past the camera.
Mm-hmm.
So like she's constantly moving. So she rips open the shirt, she's moving and she's running. So she's like coming past the camera, getting ready to fly off into action, and then they cut. But Dean Cain's kind of like, he went up to the camera as he ripped his shirt, kind of get that full on shot right there to the camera, and then they cut right off that into a different action scene.
And then,
okay, so, sorry. So I'm looking here on YouTube. This video is actually the top 10 Superman shirt.
share that on our.
I will. I will definitely do that. So number 10 is Brandon Routh shirt rip in Superman Returns. He starts it off running out of the Daily Planet, kind of walking. Then he starts picking up the pace, wearing a vest, tie, kind of goes to people. Then he starts picking up the pace. The tie, a little loose. Then he just rips the shirt, and it's not as dramatic. It's not as like, boom, I'm Superman. Number 9 is actually George Reeve. And he's kind of, I guess he's showing Jim Day Superman in that episode. Not dramatic at all. He is actually just kind of pulling the button-down shirt out of his pants, like, hey, I'm Superman. I will see what number 1 in a second. But definitely Tyler's probably has.
It's got that drama. I mean, all things aside, Cavill shirt got it. It was like it was walking.
Number 7, opening credit of Batman the Animated
Superman the Animated Series.
Yeah. I thought
even going into the comic.
the comics by comic that a lot. I do want to point out to you guys. I should have said got tracked that today, as we record, on this anniversary of the first Krypton report.
Oh, fantastic.
So, 6 on the 5th, got tracked. Yeah.
Might have to do a bigger rip.
That's just 6. And we're talking about another
Every
guy
year
named-
is important.
Bowman is important.
and we're talking about a guy named Tyler. So it works. But let's get into now. 2016. Think about this. Okay, 2016 gave us BVS and Tyler. Double dose. Like, here we are in 2021, working with proper alternative travel and a series of Tyler.
In case your number one was not Tyler. Of the shirt. My bad. Moving on.
In my opinion, number one was the weakest, or one of the weakest, because it's just George Reeves when he runs across the street. He's got his hands full of stuff, and he just kind of pops his shirt open a little bit, and then they only put it as number one. Chris.
Oh, yeah.
that's literally the only. Yeah, the Superman homepage top 10 shirt rips.
Yep, that's the one.
When was it posted?
Month ago, actually.
They had.
Smallville was number 2, and Henry Cavill was number 3
from Justice League.
Yeah.
Yes.
Josh. Okay, so anyway, Tyler's going to be Superman. And I think I James said it a little bit earlier, or maybe you did, Tyler. So I watched Elseworlds again. I watched the Supergirl episodes. I watched first 3 parts of Crisis. I didn't get fully done. And kind of what I've got out of it is the more I watch him as Superman, the more I believe it. The more I like Superman. There's still some things that I want to see more of him, and we'll get into it, of course. But like when I first saw him as Superman and that Supergirl episode, I was like, okay, all right, he has a good relationship with Kara. Fight scenes were really good. There was hero worship. I liked, but then it kind of shifted a little bit, and we'll get into that. But I'm starting to believe him as my new Superman.
So, I hear what you're saying, and I'm going along. Because, so in that first episode of Supergirl, were you guys watching the show at the time, or after?
I saw it as it aired.
I also
Awesome. So we first meet Clark as he's talking to Perry. We're getting an idea of Clark that he hears about the shuttle launch, goes running down an alley. And we see the line of Perry going. He flies up on it, hey, cuz. And then they're and really doing him breath, and they land. They're talking, smile, and in front of fight. If you walk, they feel like they have good. And then the next part, when the flies, he's a great soldier he's doing. If there's one thing that I will say that's very strong, I love.
I love that.
Oh yeah, the first question Wynn starts asking him is about him saving California from the earthquake that Lex Luthor initiated. Nice little 1978 callback.
And then when busted like or
he looks. Yeah, Wynn's reaction to Superman in that episode is just every single time he's around Superman, he has got like he's hero worship, you know.
And I feel like when they originally pitched, they were this, but I have a feeling that would like not only like fans, crowd, people work like him, because,
actors, directors, producers, yeah.
Because I feel like, and as we go on, that they didn't know what with him, but wanted. You know, it's like
which in my opinion, as we move forward, it's a detriment to him and his Superman, because he stood so tall in these first two episodes that he was with Supergirl.
Yes.
When he first arrives at the DEO, everybody lines up to shake his hand. Everybody likes him. He's very humble and thanking them for their work for protecting Earth. He's very strong, very humble. You can kind of see him as the hero, just demands respect because of his history, because of his past. And we lose that moving forward a little bit.
Yeah.
There's still a few bits here and there that really kind of stand out, that people still look up to him, but his interaction and the way they use him, they put him. They use him to lift up Tara, because she's the star.
And that's the thing is, this is a special guest star, first show. It's like it's that fine line. Talk about if you do bring him in, how play, how do you write out, like how do you and hard and that's trying to continue to out. I do like when she takes Clark's hat coat and they get off the elevator and Clark said, "Oh, Meyer, think like
when he actually tripped over something in the elevator or something."
Yeah, in the elevator when he knocked the papers out of the guy's hand. He got this clumsy thing down and said that wasn't.
I thought that was a really nice touch. I have a note here also when she's catching that plane and he flies up next to her, he doesn't grab it. Like, I kind of took it as almost like, she's got this, but I'm just going to give her a little bit.
Yeah, it's like I said, keep the very humble.
Yeah, and she says this looks like a job for both of us, and so she's holding on to the front, kind of slowing the descent while he goes behind and blows out the the engine fire or the fire in the back of the ship, and he balances it and slows it from his end.
Yeah, I really liked how, he let her be the star. He took a step back. Yeah, I'm Superman. Yeah, I've done great things, and I'm cool. But this is your moment. This is your thing, and I really appreciated that take.
Hmm? I like.
So, I just want to, touch on one thing before we get into it further.
Sure.
About, how they use him to prop Kara up. And back when, I think Jeff Loeb wrote it. I think it was a different artist when it was the Superman, Batman, Supergirl book right after Public Enemies. What Superman, Batman, Apocalypse was based off of. In the book, and even in the animated feature, Batman says something about Kara possibly being stronger than him, maybe due to her age or otherwise, that her body metabolizes solar radiation more efficient, and believed that it could make her more powerful. And I think Sterling Gates is the one who wrote Supergirl after that, and I think that was kind of a part of her character at the time. There is a version of Supergirl that is more powerful than Clark. I mean, not like something immense, you know what I mean? But, and I think that's what they were focusing on when they did that. But I think when they continuously did it over and over again is where it really felt like they were putting Superman down to prop Superman up. So, moving on.
I totally. I do like how Cat is. She has things Clark, and this Clark in that same realm, like I said, like style Clark, confident, a little, it's not, which I think the comic act Clark. Bryan and I had a little conversation about where Bryan's been reading comic great, like starting old. He's in
Started in 1930, man.
In the 90s right now. Now, one thing point as great as like Chris' performance. Clark's never been that much in comics until some story post.
I think, reading the comic, Superman Clark started out very George Reeves. George Reeves played a very tough Clark Kent, kind of very manly Clark Kent. If you would have thought that maybe Clark Kent could be Superman. And I think that Christopher Reeve took the role, thought to himself that, okay, well maybe I can do something different, and I think a lot of people have made that as the iconic, definitive Superman. That, okay, Clark's clumsy, Clark slouches, Clark never think Clark is Superman. And I think there's even a scene, I think it's in Superman 2, I can't remember if it's theatrical or Donner cut, where actually it might even be Superman the movie, the first one. But anyway, it's a scene where Clark's slouching and he's trying to tell Lois that he's Superman, and he takes off the glasses, and you see like an instant change in stance, posture by Christopher Reeve. like switching to Superman instantaneously and standing up straight, puffing the chest out, and then he decides not to tell her, and he puts the glasses back on, switches right away, like great act.
Mm-hmm.
But Clark has never been like that. Clark has never been this clumsy, doofus. Clark's always been kind of like, I would say Dean Cain Clark, probably the closest anything comic to how Clark kind of been when John Byrne rebooted him in the 80s. Clark thought, Clark liked Lois. Lois didn't like Clark. He had a suaveness. He was built. He was healthy. He was kind of like the Kane Superman. That's the buff guy. That's a good looking dude. And women liked him. Women did desire him. But they also desired Superman. And so I want to put that in our listeners' heads. Christopher Reeve Superman, that was his own thing. That was a great take. That is not how comic. Sorry.
Yeah. You talk about Dean Cain, how he was he was like your average guy, so to speak, as Clark, a normal guy, not overly clumsy, confident at times and also reserved at times. We get the same thing from Cavill's Clark Kent, unfortunately, because he's a movie version, and more or less probably because Zack Snyder's name is attached to the movies. Just because of his name alone, he is put into a divisive category, and because of movies, he doesn't get as much screen time, but he's kind of the same way as Dean Cain. He's still himself, and he stands up what he believes in as a reporter, and he's not some bumbling doofus, that's so yeah, that Christopher Reeve Clark stands out. He stands out hardcore, like sore thumb. You know what I mean? Being so clumsy and so over the top.
We have our Tyler Clark here interact with Cat, and I think it's a great scene, pairing with everything we just said, and having our first scene about tough Cat, to see her off her game over Clark. That she
she melts when he comes in.
And seeing even Kara's response. It's great. Now, the next part has, the two of them. There's a drone that's attacked and bullet. Two of them go flying out. There's a really great scene that I like. Superman flies down the street, spreads his cape out, spreads himself out, takes bullets with his family. Then he stands up, family shook, he looks back, winks at him, smiles, and flies. It's so quick, subtle, but so perfect. It was like a way of reassuring the family, hey, gotcha. Goes off.
I really did like that, a little smile to the camera, a little like, hey, I'm David.
It's, in the film we have some dramatic, in the episode dramatic, where Clark / Supergirl at odds with John, Marshall. Clark is always great about kind of uplifting. Get to see a great scene of Clark interviewing Tina, being a little bit more aggressive reporter because she is, and very true journalist. But at the same time, he does have, Jenny and I were talking about this, like Tyler's character, Superman Clark, feels more like average. Like Cavill Superman feels like the god, like perfect man kind of thing, almost like holy that
Like
person. I mean, I didn't want to say it just yet. And then you have,
I wish I was chiseled like Henry Cavill, dude. Jesus.
All right. Stop getting so humble. All right.
but you guys get what I'm saying. Like,
Absolutely.
Oh,
And I know that was purposeful, you know. It was purposeful for Zach to cast somebody like Henry to be Superman, and then, you know, especially what we're gonna see the Snyder cut.
I think it's just great because it shows us in these two acts, okay? Because this is the second time that happened. The first time being in Return and Small, where we have two acts, and this is even tighter. Think about it, portraying the same character at the same time, but they're both true characters. But it shows us that scale of what the character is look like.
You know, it's actually really interesting because they, just speaking of it from that point of view, they made Smallville more like the movies, more like the Richard Donner films, because they wanted that recognition. And now with Superman and Lois coming out, it's very much more reminiscent of Man of Steel,
Very cinematic.
of the current, very cinematic.
I mean, you got a valid point. It's a very strong valid.
History repeats itself over at Warner Brothers constantly, for good or for bad.
I want to pose you guys a question. Do you feel that Superman is at his best, like live action? Do you feel Superman's at his best on the small screen or the big screen?
Well, we've talked about this a lot. It's funny to me that Superman is big and powerful type character that you would think that he would be more of the movie that Batman person, because his storylines make sense for like a procedural series. But in retrospect, there's been more live action Superman based television than Batman. You know, we've only had, say, the Chris film, the one Bryan and have films, but we've had Adventure Superman, Superboy, Smallville, Lois and Clark, and now where we are with Tyler. So I say, I don't necessarily say it worked the best, but the character does well on television. We get more story, him on television. But the movie spectacle of the character, what I think is so great about the film. What was it? I saw like the movies of these characters are a lot of times like the event story, like the big crossover or build up or like the climactic thing, and the shows are like individual issues where it's the story continuing, good stuff's happening. So I mean, he works great on TV because they've just done so much. And do I personally think still? No, I love seeing Superman on TV. Bryan and I went and saw years back. We went and saw Superman the movie on the big screen.
Heck yeah.
So yeah, that's mine.
I mean, arguably, Superman is the most recognizable symbol on the entire planet. But Batman seems to be the largest, the bigger marketable product. And so Batman seems to get more movies because more people tend to go to see the Batman movies. people say more relatable. I doubt that because hardly anybody's that rich. I don't want to say nobody. Hardly anybody's that rich. Hardly anybody has seen, their parents murdered in front of their eyes. Nobody has committed their lives to being the peak physical and mental, detective and vigilante, stuff like that. Arguably, Superman is more relatable on a emotional and moral and ethical from that standpoint than Batman. You know what I mean? In my opinion, I don't think that Batman is more relatable or the better character. Obviously, Superman is the best character. And like I said, the biggest symbol known. You show almost anybody on the planet, they can tell you what that means. So it's just interesting how because my favorite Superman, my favorite movie, my favorite version of Superman, Man of Steel, Henry Cavill, the visuals, the spectacle, what Superman can do. He needs he needs the big screen, he needs the budget, but also, you need to be able to connect with the character, and he seems to work better on the small screen when it comes.
Here's what I think. I think that for Superman, just Superman, the big screen works better. For Clark, also.
I mean, I can agree with that because you're on the big screen. You don't want to see Clark. You want to expect big. You want to see the actor. Yeah, that makes sense.
But you want to get heart, soul of the character. You need more time seeing him as Clark, interacting with people at the planet, parents, all that stuff. When you go to the big screen and you have that 2 hours, 2.5, 3 hours, whatever to fill, you want that action. You want that boom, pow.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas us seasoned comic book fans, we'll take them both, because we know who Superman fully is. We know that. But as a standard new fan, they get a little bit bored with Clark. Yeah, I mean, of course you want to see. The other day, I saw an episode of Practical Jokers, and they were trying to. It was Q, and someone gave him a video game that he had to pitch, and it was just called Just Clark Kent, none of the Superman stuff. So you get to be a reporter, you get to go to work. No, can't use any of your powers. No, nothing. Just straight up Clark Kent. And, you got to have that balance of both. But I think for the depth of Clark, I don't think Henry has got to show that yet. And that's why I really, really hope that we can get at least one more movie with Henry. Really get him to be Clark, really get him to be Superman. I hope that after Snyder Cut, that Warner Brothers can believe in him again, and let's get that. And I think Tyler is going to do a heck of a job. I really do. We got to see him be a father. We got to see him, be a cousin to Kara and a mentor. We got to see him learn from Kara when he was kind of down in his dump crisis. I think he's going to be a Superman that we really need to see right now. A real relatable one.
So the next episode, girls, and continue right with this left off, and get an opening scene of a fire, and we have Clark and Kara go up, and it's great. They show up, they blow out the fire. They're really excited they were there. They are glad they showed up, and then we see the bank robber. They have the robber blast them full of bullets, and Tyler has a line about guy gets out, punch, like bullets don't work, and just kind of classic Superman, little tongue funny. Learn there's a reference to that, but one kind of have see Superman here. How they cut it up. In the first season, they're all it's either the stuntman who got Count Kara, either the stuntman that's just like in the sunlight, or I like how he's really calm, black, with him, Martian Manhunter, kind of at each other's throat. Find out it's because John has kryptonite, or of all the
Yeah, their interactions together are really good. Butting heads, and then when they meet, when they see eye to eye, in the end. But yeah, the way they bump heads, the way that Clark and John are standing toe to toe with each other. I mean, no one else can do that, really. Stand toe to toe with Superman like that. And John would be someone who isn't afraid to do that. So yeah, Tyler definitely showed a different side of Superman than out in the public eye and with Kara and stuff. So, these first two episodes, I mean, everything he did was great.
I like the classic crisis scene of him holding Kara.
Yeah, she's limp in his arms.
I think that's yeah. Good. Inside that episode, I pointed this, guys. We see the Krypton Park properly, which the Krypton St. Font. We're all kind of hope retcon Lois. Now we're both Christ that Superman is contact.
Yeah, I could see Tyler as Seg's grandson, Cameron Cuff's grandson from Krypton. You posted a picture of them side by side on our social media, and you could see it. Maybe a couple generations removed. That quite possibly. I mean, that it could be a relative.
And in the same way, okay. All right. Here's Superman's very depicted as very what do you call it? Lift up wind, very nice. At the end of the episode, we get a shot at Jack Drop. He flies to pillar, shift, into Clark and calls. And so now, the last appearance he has is Girl 22, where we find out that it is under Silver Krypton, which based panic, much like Smallville. But basically, this is the one where you guys were saying. So basically, he comes out, fight hard. He thinks he's seeing Zod. Get our first look at this Zod, and fight Kara. And this is where she. And supposedly he was at full strength. Tumble where it's like, okay, I'll step aside, Kara's camp, and he mentioned the line, which I really like, the line that he will always fight, and kind of stuff to hold up. He's not in this much. We see him fight some action, fight Pip, and a guy who tries out. Well, and he says about Lois Lane, quote, "I'm humbled by her. I couldn't give up Lois. Stronger." It's that quote right up here to what we see.
Yeah, and Superman and Lois. I mean, that's always been a big part. They've done some really good stories of Superman and Lois, how much he needs her. They did some good episodes of that in Smallville season 10. How much he needs her. What else? I'm trying to think. I know there was that way he was talking about that. His love for Lois when Cavill flies off to stop Doomsday in BVS, and then even in the death of Superman, when Lois is about to get killed by Doomsday, and Superman all out one last hit, and he put Doomsday's head on back. So, I mean, she grounds him from being, she grounds him from eventually going, like, overboard, quite possibly, like, him losing his mind and going all, crazy, scary dictator like the Injustice universe.
She died.
Yeah. Well, when he killed her, but that's why. You know what I mean? It's not just because she died; it's because he killed her.
Yep.
That's the biggest part, because there are a number of stories who died, and and he hasn't gone down that path, but it always affects him in a great way. But then Superman's just a man. He's not a god, and like people think that he's flying around just to help people all day, every day, and he can't carry the weight of the world on his shoulders, even though he does. He needs Lois to bring him back to Earth, to give him give him the life, give him a life of love and compassion, and just to be a guy, go to work and have somebody he loves and that loves him.
That's what Lord and small find out Chloe talk. So, let's skip ahead now. Tyler next is in Elseworlds, the first Elseworlds part arc.
Mm-hmm.
And Elseworld, it seems hard to get everybody excited when they just say Oliver and Barry are cut Smallville, and we have Clark, Lois, Kara on the Smallville set.
I wasn't excited. I wasn't excited at all.
I was.
That music didn't get me pumped at all. Nah.
I was irrationally excited.
What I like is in there that Lois is the one working the truck and Clark holding it up for and cars up, they're talking. And it's hard. We're getting some good chemistry of Tyler, Elizabeth from Clark, and then have Barry and Oliver drop in on low. Clark are run and as Lois calls out Oliver.
Well, before that, this is probably the last time, in my opinion, where Superman is like the hero, is the top dog. You know, they come in and Kara's like, "This is my cousin," and Barry's like, "That cousin?" You know, like amazed that it's Superman kind of a thing. And then Oliver puffs up his chest just to, you know what I mean? Not like to, obviously not to like go against him, not to be confrontational, but he's at Superman is and he's not even Superman. Like they don't have a Superman on Earth 1 at the time. So, you know, even the respect that he has for Kara extends over to her cousin, over to Superman. And I think Oliver, like I said, he doesn't do it confrontationally, but it's like just standing in his presence and him puffing his chest up. You know what I mean? It kind of makes Oliver like stand tall, just to be around. You know what I mean? And that's about the last time I think that they really push him up.
Is Barry?
Yeah.
And there is a deleted from that is great because it's Superman kind of putting Oliver like, but not really. You know, we have like Barry as Oliver powers, and Barry does the same trick Oliver arrow back, but Superman take Oliver fun. Basically talking about how he like how his father and Oliver. I hate it cut out.
I do too. You sent me that scene. I was, why? Like, why would you cut this out? Granted, the scene in the show we get is between Barry and Oliver, and it's recreation of what we saw before when Flash was brand new and Oliver was training him. You're so fast, you should be able to scope out the entire place and not run in blind. You know what I mean? That was Oliver's kind of lesson at the time. And Barry, so we've seen that before. So it was just doing it again, but it was the other way around because they were each other. So, it works for the show. It works for what they needed it to work for. But I think, Superman being the mentor, especially to Oliver, the guy who started who his show started the CW Arrowverse, the current continuity. So to see him be a mentor to the guy who's been a mentor to everybody else was really good. It's really powerful.
That's kind of bugged.
It was cut because they didn't. I mean, obviously it was cut because they didn't need it because the scene was a recreation of what they did before. So they're like, oh yeah, people are gonna get it. You know what I mean? But I think Superman teaching Oliver with superpowers, because Oliver never had superpowers. I think Superman teaching him, because at the time now Barry doesn't have power. So it's just words, but Superman and Oliver both being superpowered at the time, and Superman, being able to educate Oliver and be that mentor to the character who's been a mentor to everybody else. Yeah, it was fantastic. I mean, it wasn't needed for the show, but it would have made it better. Definitely.
I like, because I'll bring this up. Oliver does that. I was the first. I'm the one who saw it, and when talking about the idea, I was the first. Blah blah blah. Back, Oliver. But what with that all in mind, that's another why. And there's like kind of that. They should have put out. There was because nothing happened. I think at that time, first, there. But I digress. So, go ahead, Brian.
I was thinking, it would be kind of a nice story if in the Superman Lois story, we might get Clark looking, because we don't know if he's ever encountered a Bruce before. Like with the new Crisis timeline, he could have encountered a Bruce, because when the Crisis episode starts on Argo, she mentions Doomsday. She doesn't mention whether he died or not, just that he fought. She mentions that he fought Zod. He mentions that he mentions that he's dealt with like both before and like reality changing things. So maybe a Mr. Flitwick type thing. But we don't know if he's died. Since the show is post-crisis, could kind of help search for Bruce, or we could have we don't know. Like because has Tyler Superman interacted with Kara post crisis? I don't think so.
Not post crisis, but also on their Earth, on Earth 38, Batman existed, and Superman and Batman were friends on Earth 38. So he did know a Batman, a Bruce. But now that they're on Earth Prime, the Bruce that exists on Earth Prime is the one from Batwoman missing. So, how does that work? Is Clark worried about Bruce and Batman who've been missing for a few years because they're friends? You know what I mean? It's kind of just well, like we've talked about off air, especially when it comes to Batwoman, like all they know is he's gone. Like like they wrote him off a long time ago. He's gone. I'm not sure if if anybody's even considered what the reason would be why Batman's been gone for 3 years in Gotham. Just that he's gone is all they need to know to forward what they're doing with Batwoman being the central character.
What kind of drove me nuts is like in the Elseworld, you see Arkham. You see like it's kind of cool, right? And then when we get the Batman show, we don't see Arkham.
The timeline for Elseworld and Batwoman is pretty messed up. I do. I just had a thought at a point. Now I forgot it.
Okay, I've lost quite a few this evening as well.
Continue.
Well,
Yeah.
I was gonna say, the next week is Cisco shows it all of art. That art print and does it's sweet because like just him like smiling and on camera goes in and this episode with Azo Robot kind of a retcon 5 and 5 Arrow
in Arrow the ship that was at the island, the Amazo,
flies up but fight fun that's pretty much him. First back episode is because I didn't write a lot of of arc. Lowest play by itself. This is by and first time but yet Clark has it's either finds a little like battle. Lois can't fall. I dive. Together.
That's true, man.
I did like in the Elseworlds where he was able to use the Book of Destiny, because especially when we move forward to Crisis, how it's very dangerous item to use, and like the Clark's experiences and his abilities, or well, his experiences, his intelligence, allows him to be able to use it. You know, like Lex Luthor's intelligence is what allows him to be able to use it, not driven mad.
It was just credit.
Yes, he is definitely. Clark is Superman is definitely smart. They don't focus on that enough. Only when it needs to. More often than not, it's about the spectacle of powers, not his intelligence that saves the day. Which, you know, maybe we'll get to see a little more on Superman and Lois, considering, you know, television budget and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Hopefully we won't get him doing, you know, a super speech every season to save the day, but
well, is it?
But being able to talk people down, I think, very important.
Yeah, I think Lois are might have I think it is right here at the end where Clark right front part Kara and I think that is a way of talking about getting off. Right? Take it out there. Guys.
You just reminded me of the point I forgot earlier.
Yes.
Superman and Supergirl, yes, they can traverse the globe, but they live in different cities and stuff. You know what I mean? So, you know, Superman not being around to save the day, or help Kara at any point that she needs it, you know, is kind of justifiable. Superman is likely, they don't bring it up, but Superman is likely doing something that may take him off world or to another realm or another dimension or something, you know what I mean? Yep. So that's very possible, and they don't need to explain it. Now, when it comes to Batwoman, that all takes place in Gotham, and city is Gotham. Like, Batman should be there. So it becomes more of a problem with Batwoman show of, you know, writing out Batman than, in my opinion, it is for the Supergirl show writing out Superman. They don't reside in the same city. Batman lords over everything that happened in Gotham and all of the vigilantes that are in Gotham. Batman lords over that. So it's more of a big deal that he's not around and writing him out of the show than it is Superman. You know what I mean? So it's a definite a definite distance between the importance of you know, the two characters not being around.
But what I liked at the end of the episode, if Superman beat him, but he's around low. Great or right is supposed to one in part have their starts off dead, but not but our I always imagine that's the first John art oh art Argo
I liked how they used Argo to, write Superman out of Supergirl, but also that they went to Argo so that way, like, the baby, there wasn't any danger to Lois from carrying a quote unquote superpowered child, if possible, if possible that the baby were to have abilities. They got that from Convergence, them being in a bottled city where they had no power and were able to conceive John.
so but then
I kind of feel like as I wrote my notes watching these Tyler episodes, I wrote down a lot of complaints, because that's what I do. And when you see him in the first 2 episodes of Supergirl, like that's your first time seeing him. And I think when people first saw his picture as the new Superman, I think people thought, well, he's a little short, a little tiny. He's not as buff as Henry. He's not as tall as Dean was, or whatever. Or he's not as tall as Brandon, whatever. And I think when he did the shirt scene and kind of the fight scenes and smiling and winking and stuff like that, that was kind of showing what he could do. So as I look at the whole picture of watching all his episodes, like the first 2 episodes of Supergirl, or his Supergirl section, you see him be Clark. So it's almost like with Supergirl episodes and the Elseworlds and Crisis, it was like a testing ground, different part of what they want Superman to be for this new show. So, yeah, like, it's something, as you guys talk, my mind drifts sometimes, and I start thinking stuff. But like, I had like playing, like I started Crisis first, and I was like, okay, in Crisis he's not really a leader. Like, he's not really like leading a team. Like in the Crisis on Infinite Earth story in the comic, like Superman was the big leader. Superman was a big part of it. And in Crisis, he's not that. And I was like, man, okay, I'm going to have to watch More Than Crisis. I'm going to have to go back and watch it from the beginning and get all of it. And in Supergirl, he's that simple. Like, it's almost like CW was kind of like, okay, do we want to do a new Superman show? Like, we have Supergirl here. Everybody wants Superman. Okay, we got to test different things. We got to test what's going on in the comics now, with Superman being a dad. Like, we got to see what Tyler can do. So you get those two Superman episodes. And they're like, okay, this is Supergirl show. You know, we know there's a Superman out there. Like, they're talking through its message. Like, no, he's this. You know, we got to bite a bullet and see him. So we get the hero worship. We get him fighting alongside her. We get him interacting with the public. Finally, we get him humble. You know, we get him being able to be a little bit of a leader, but also like that mentor role. And then we go into Elseworlds and we see him be a leader. We see him having to stay the day with like opening the book. We see his interactions with Lois face to face. We see if he has chemistry with this Lois, if it could work. You know, we see a Fortress of Solitude that has a perfectly greatly made set of stairs with a railing. Like, that was really nice. Like, okay. You know, we see him in that leadership role. You know, we see him kicking ass, being a big part of the team. We see him working with Barry, Flash, and Oliver's Green Arrow, like what he could work in a team if they decide to give us an actual Justice League, even though they cancel everybody's shows. See that, and then when we get into Crisis, we see Superman as a father, and we see him as a husband. And if you take Supergirl and you take Elseworld and you take Crisis and you pull that all together, like, what do you see Superman being? And you see him the height of his popularity, or you see him at the height of his strength with Supergirl episodes. See him as a leader, and then you see him as that vulnerability as a father, and like, because they didn't, like, in that first episode, man, like, they didn't know whether they lost their kid or not, like, and see him have that moment with Kara where he isn't that simple hope at that moment. He isn't that inspiration. He isn't that wise guy. He's this guy that he thought he could have a normal life. He thought he could be a father. He thought he could take a break from being all the responsibilities of the world and just have a world.
Yeah, at that
That was
break.
his, you know? And that's what has me really excited for this show. Because, like, we talked about before the show was first announced, you know, we all talked about this, and we were like, what do we want to see in the show? And want to see, I mean, at least I want to see Superman vulnerable. I want to see him not know how the heck to be a dad. I want to see him like us, I mean, I'm not a father, but like, there's men out there, like, we never got to see in the comics. Well, I mean, a little bit, but we never, like, I think I said to you guys that I really want to see them start John, and I think this is pre-Crisis, before we saw the two boys and we found out they're teenagers, but I wanted to see John grow in real time. And Bendis kind of cheated us out of that comic, but I wanted to see John grow in real time, like, start as like maybe 5, 6, you know, maybe 7 max. And if this Superman Low show was like a 10-season show, like Smallville, that would be awesome. But see Clark and John and Lois raise this kid from a little boy to a man. And all the struggles of, okay, this kid's going to school for the first time. That's why 6 might have been like a really good time. To see this kid start out at school as a young guy with superpowers and seeing him grow to a man, with his dad being Superman, with his mom being, Pulitzer Prize winning Lois, having to struggle with all that, and Superman have no idea what he's doing. Plus having to save the world, like all this overwhelming responsibility. And I think we're gonna get that, like in that trailer. And them being teenagers, I'm not a huge fan of. I think it'll be all right, but I would have liked them a little bit younger. But I hope that one of the boys has power, and I hope one of the boys does have power.
That's supposed to. And no, I
ran a lot there, but like I have a lot of hope, Tyler. I really do.
I think that's part of what I was saying. There's a couple lines that stood out in this part, right? Like, Clark, Oliver, I'm not. I was thinking about it, way of, yes, but but right that this and vulnerable. Yes.
I'm so excited.
Oh, like that's awesome. And fact, have kind of like there as part of not so all back a lot of but a lot of most I don't guys I talk how 5 here but in Christ see him and Clark Lois wrong. Out of have a lot of Superman act power how all of a lot of Or
Well, in the tower scene, they're using the heat vision to what are they doing with the heat vision? Anyways,
they're powering the solar. Powering.
yeah, that's right. And I thought they were using it on the tower. And Superman falls out for Supergirl, and he even has to have a comment. You had to keep, or you had to show me up something. I forget what he says exactly. It wasn't quite like you have to show me up, but or you kept. I forget. Yeah.
I will say, like, it
Right.
But we get good scenes of him and Lois travel, trying to find their gone. And Ralph. I am a little bummed. I was still try to right. Because they mentioned like alive.
I think they're holding off.
I too. And I'm hoping that Pryor comes over, does a couple of. I think that, but I don't. Pryor's final. So much, and they kind of stop.
Well, it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be different because, coming back to Crisis, Lex erased all of his criminal transgressions, and now he's a humanitarian. So we get to see the Lex that we know, the billionaire genius, criminal, behind the shadows, and Superman, having to take him down. So may get to see another version of that at some point.
And I agree. Are able to, on, like we've said, this version are iteration. Know that post price pressure still you got like had already.
Yeah.
So we'll have that discussion. And I think one thing I kind of suffer in this, right? Even though we great low when up or kind of like walk, we're like, right? Then when you brand, like really back, yes, I love their interact. And we have, and we already know how we felt that. Oh, and awesome. Like we get the brand, right? Right.
Thank you.
That he takes and other friend I did put my notes, I think, in third episode, when, or if their blacklight Black Light. And for most of the rest, like Tyler back fight. He gets the scene that's humorous, part 5, where Adam Frank on they think time called prop set up both right kind of assume never got it all back. Wonder if that's then at the end they have like great idea, very fun thing, right? Last on that interact there's what part okay.
Go ahead, Bryan.
Oh, I apologize. My mind drifted. All right. I think I think that James should answer.
Did I see the snow out there? Yes.
It's snowing in Ohio.
Yeah. We could have a fortress of solid pop out of snow and ice. Well, I will just say that I am looking forward to seeing the Superman. I'm looking forward to watching the show. It's gonna be a much different Superman show that we've ever seen. He's gonna be a father. He's gonna have to learn how to balance family and superheroics. It's gonna be. We're 1 week away, and I can't wait to discuss it after you watch it.
I think this is going to be. I think this show is going to blow people away. I think it's a different Superman. Like, I think when people get a Superman show, they're like, okay, we'll see him flirt with Lois. We'll see their relationship build. We'll see him, kind of interact with Harry, and like we're skipping all that. Like, he's with Lois now. Like, there's not going to be this romantic tension build up. Like, they're already married. They're established. We're not going to see this. I don't know if we'll see Perry in this, but I don't think so. I mean, it seems to be all in Smallville. But I think an interesting dynamic that we didn't think about is that Sam Lane knows Lois' dad. Like, so he's going to get these demands from his father-in-law being like, hey, dude, I need you to take care of this threat. I need you to do that. So he has to deal with the pressure of dealing with his wife's dad her demands and all that crap. Regular Superman demands. Lois demands of being a husband. Kids demand. And from the trailer, like, kids look, when the kids find out he's Superman, like, I think in one part of the trailer they say, like, oh, like, that would be the best thing. Or it'll be good. Or I think maybe Lois does it. Like they need to know who you are. I think it was Lois. I'm not sure. But somebody says it's gonna be good, and then he shows the kids who he is, and like one of the kids flips crap out. I think it was Jordan. Flips crap out.
Lois.
Like, that's where you were all those times. Like, what about us? Just lie. Like,
Lois doesn't say that it would be like good if they know, but Lois says it would be that it would be better, that it would be safer if they knew. And me and Tyler discussed that maybe it might be partly because, like, the one scene where it looks like the boys or a boy is underneath the pile of pipes that fall down. So maybe somebody isn't getting hurt. Maybe some powers are starting to manifest. So the kids need to know who their dad is and what's happening. I mean, it's just like Clark being told when he's like 15 years old that he is an alien. He's gotten to a point where all the things that were unexplainable, he needed explanations for, and I think that's what we're partially getting with children too.
So all that to say, I am really excited. But I am, Bryan's revelation lost, like where Tyler changed. The news, Tyler has up. Kind of right now, because of limited time, I was going to side character back. No one's called their fourth favorite. And I think go start and really be like, you know what? I like. I'm glad we have that. Feels like embodied care. Much off. All just kind of have a life. How I want to burn broth. I get that, but like.
Look up in the sky.